This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNN Live. We're at the 40th Annual New Orleans Investment Conference 2014 here in New Orleans. I have Brien Lundin, Gold Newsletter, the New Orleans Investment Conference CEO and head cook and bottle washer.
That's right. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brien Lundin. How are you, Brien?
I'm doing great, Shelley. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you. Let's get right into it. I have so much to ask you, but let's talk about the conference for a minute. I wouldn't know by the second day of this conference that things were bad in the resource industry. I have to share that with you.
Right. Well, this conference is unique. It has fully paid attendance, accredited investors, highly qualified investors, really knowledgeable people. They're savvy, maverick investors. They take their own advice. They self-direct their funds. And they know the markets. They know that the metals markets and the mining share markets in particular are cyclical. So they know how to play the cycles. And you know, you go out to some other events and you'll see that the halls are bare when at the bottom of a market. These people know that this is where the money's made. You buy now and you play the cycle, let the market work in your favor. The market rising lifts all boats, forgives all sins. So even if you get a specific stock wrong, you can still make a lot of money if you bought them at the bottom of the market, like where we are now.
I know the conference business. I know how hard it is to put an event together. You've done an exceptional job. You've got a full room of sponsors. You've got companies from all walks of resource life. You've got even some technology companies. Tell me, how hard was it? How easy was it? How do you do it?
It's difficult, but I've been in a market downturn like this. It was difficult to get the exhibit hall this full, but the credit is to the companies that are in there, especially in the mining sector. These companies are the ones that are actually doing things, the ones that actually have a story to tell. They're not sitting on their hands in a down market, you know, not doing anything and trying to ride it out. They're actually advancing their properties, advancing their business plans, and they know that this is one of the places they need to go to talk to real investors and tell their story.
You've got amazing speakers. You've had some fantastic panels. So, at the end of the day, what's your opinion on gold? I have to ask.
Right. Well, my opinion on gold is that, you know, I once learned that a smart man knows what he knows, but a very smart man knows what he doesn't know. And I don't know when the turn's going to come. And really nobody can predict that. But you have to have a good feeling that we're right around the bottom right now. Gold basis New York spot has bounced off of that an 1180 bottom 3 times now and bounced hard. It seems to be very, very strong support. We don't know when the upswing's going to come, but it sure seems like we're around the bottom, and that buying now at the bottom of a cycle will pay off over the longer term.
You know, sometimes at a conference you get a feeling of sentiment. And you have speakers. Not everybody's a yes man in this conference. What do you think the sentiment is from the experts who you put on panels?
I think what I just said is a pretty common opinion here right now. They seem to be, again, feeling that we're around the bottom. We don't know when the turn's going to come up. But the longer term, the fundamental macroeconomic picture is very bullish for precious metals. You have more and more fiat currency being created. You have Europe starting quantitative easing. And you have the U.S. economy in a still fragile recovery that can be upset at any moment by significant weakness around the world. We saw that with the huge volatility we saw in U.S. equities just a couple of weeks ago. So it's a very fertile ground for the precious metals. We don't know when the turn is going to come, but eventually it will. And the downside seems limited at this point.
What did you talk about today?
Just that. That was exactly. That's why I have it so well rehearsed. That's almost exactly what I said.
So 2015 is right around the corner. 2014, for the most part, it's done. We've got some rallies coming because there's always window dressing, and there's always an election year, you know, time, like Frank Holmes has stated many, many times. What do you see for 2015 in your macro and also in your micro opinion because of the rare, you know, precious metals?
Well, you mentioned window dressing toward the end of the year. So before we get into 2015, I have to say that the mining share market, the junior mining shares, run kind of counter to that. It's a tax loss selling season. There are a lot of losses this year still. So you'll see a period of weakness in the metals in late November, going into December, going into the end of the year. That's a wonderful time to pick up bargains. That's a great shopping. We call it the shopping season in the market. Great time to pick up, especially companies that have proven resources, real value in the ground established, but selling for fractions really of what they were a few years ago, or in some cases, if it's a rough tax loss selling season, of what they were selling for just a few months previous. So that's a great time to buy, even for the short term, to expect a rebound in the new year. Going into 2015, I just got off the economics panel and they asked, well, is the stock market going to be higher next year at this time? I don't know, but I do know between now and then we're going to have some rough sailing. Very likely we're going to have at least another significant downside event, if not a full size correction between now and then.
And I want you, if you would, tell us about your newsletter and why people should get a hold of it.
Gold Newsletter was started by Jim Blanchard in 1971. It is literally the oldest precious metals advisory out there right now. In itself was instrumental in returning the right of gold ownership to American citizens. So it really is the leading advisory in the industry. You can learn more about it at goldnewsletter.com. It was started by Jim Blanchard, really an icon in precious metals, gold, and the hard money movement.
You know, Brien, your event is known for having amazing speakers, great panels. You have Alan Greenspan. I mean, if you're not present at the conference, is there any way that you can get to see what happened at the conference? How do you go about doing that?
Absolutely. You can order MP3 audio recordings of all of the presentations. You can get DVD video recordings of the general session presentations, or immediate gratification streaming videos of the presentations. Just go to neworleansconference.com and all of the information will be right there.
And also, let's give the website for your newsletter again as well.
goldnewsletter.com. Learn more about it right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brien Lundin, Gold Newsletter and the New Orleans Investment Conference. I am Shelley Kraft. This is SNN Live, and we're at the 40th Annual New Orleans Investment Conference 2014. Brien, thanks for having us.
You're welcome, Shelley.
Great
Thank you.
conference.